if you want to go back and look at the moment when it began to change, it was 1978. This was the moment when the government embarked on this economic reimagination of what the country could be. In effect, what they said was, we're going to set aside our socialist scripture, and we're going to hold on to the saints, Chairman Mao, whose portrait still hangs above Tiananmen Square, and we're going to hold on to the things that define us as a political entity, but not as an economic organization. When you talk to people in Chinese about that moment, 1978, 1979, when they began, for instance, to break apart the collective farms and the factories, sending people out to go make a living for themselves, the word that they use in Chinese is songbang, which is a verb that is used for the unshackling of a prisoner or an animal. This is the word that they use themselves. So it was that profound as a change in the way that they imagine themselves as individual citizens. You begin to hear it in the language. Even that word, the old word ambition, yexin, wild heart, has changed. And if you go on to the Chinese internet today, if you go to Amazon.cn and you look up what's available on the subject of ambition, you'll find that the self-help offerings are all about ambition today. You can buy a book called How to Have a Wild Heart in Your 20s. Or my personal favorite is in the parenting section, Molding Wild Character, Nurturing a Child to Have an Untamable Personality and Wild Ambition. Advertisers have picked up on this. If you look in advertising in China, you look at billboards, there are cell phones that are being marketed with the slogan, My Turf, My Decision. Even in rural areas where things tend to change more slowly, it's easy for us to imagine that these kinds of changes are just happening in the city. In fact, if you go off into the countryside, there's a school, for instance, in the Yangtze River Delta, where the students recite the following pledge. Ever since God created all things on earth, there has not been one person like me. My eyes and my ears, my brain and my soul, all are exceptional. Nobody speaks or behaves like me. No one before me, and no one will after me. I am the biggest miracle of nature. So in China today, what we're seeing is people asking themselves, what do I want? What kind of world do I envision for myself and for my country? And then what am I going to do in order to achieve that? One of the reflections of this, one of the things that I write about in the book, is the ways that this has altered the traditions around love and marriage. It's one of the things that people don't talk about very much in public life in China, but has an enormous impact on the way they see themselves. To put it in context, in history in China, there wasn't really much room for desire and for individual choice when it came to marriage. You were basically paired off by the village matchmaker on the basis of whether your two families were a good fit. Later it was the cadre, perhaps, in the local party committee, or it might have been the lieutenant in your military unit who said, you two are perfect for each other, congratulations. There was very little room for the bride and groom. Today, that has changed quite dramatically, and people now have the right, in effect, to choose who it is that they want to marry. Their parents still play a role. Some things are, I would say, universal, but they now have the ability to make those kinds of choices in ways that they haven't ever before, and they've embraced that power of choice. I'm going to read you an online personals ad by a young woman named Lin Yu, who's a graduate student in the city of Wuhan. She placed an ad in the newspaper seeking a young man with the following qualities: no previous marriages, master's degree or more, not an only child, no smokers, no alcoholics, no gamblers, not from Wuhan. Taller than 172 centimeters, ready for at least 1 year of dating before marriage, sporty, parents who are still together, annual salary over 50,000 yuan, age between 26 and 32, willing to guarantee eating 4 dinners at home each week, track record of at least 2 ex-girlfriends but no more than 4, no Virgos, no Capricorns.